My name is Michael Allar, and this is a bizarre scuffed Vordt tutorial for a SL1 no-hit club configuration. All of this is to say, this is my rough attempt at a guide on how to kill Vordt with the club. So I'm using Allar mod here to get us in position and to get rid of everything, no armor, everything except the club. And then we'll simply run up to Vordt to get him started, and we'll kill Vordt. So the idea is pretty simple. You just need to stay underneath Vordt. No matter what he does, if you stay underneath of him, it will be fine. And as you can see here, you can run straight toward him and not even roll through most of his attacks. There's only one attack that you need to generally roll through unless you know that you're safe under Vordt, which I will call out when that happens. But most of his attacks, including him jumping through the air and swinging at you and all that stuff, as long as you are running to his underside, to his back half, to under his butt, generally nothing will hurt you. As you can see here, just run under him, and I immediately hit my L2 on my club, and that activates War Cry. So War Cry gives you about an 8% damage boost, and also does some stun damage and a bunch of other stuff. But that 8% does help. So you want to activate that as soon as you can, as soon as you're safe. And this here is pretty much on the far side of what is safe. You want to be generally more under him than this, more centered under him, but there is some leeway to that. And basically what you're trying to be at all times is out of range of his right to left swing, which he did there. If we go back a little bit, that swing right there, that right to left, it is very fast, and if you're not under him, there's a good chance he'll hit you. And so as you can see there, the idea is just to keep staying under him, and as long as you're under him, you can keep swinging and you're safe. Now, I rolled through that poke there, but even that, as long as you're a little bit to the left or you're running slightly to the left, it will not hit you as long as you're running towards his underside. So there is a point around a quarter of his health where you'll get a mini little stun on him, and that will interrupt whatever attack he is doing. So as you can see, watch for the weird animation glitch here. That little break in his animation set, that's that little stun right there. He basically gets nudged to the side. So that's just something to keep in mind, that there is a little stun every quarter of health that you hit him with this club. And even that slap with his right hand, you don't need to roll through that either. Sometimes I roll through that, as you'll see here, simply because anytime he moves that right hand, I want to roll because I do not want to be in that wide arc swing. That swing will get you every time if you're not watching for it. But again, that's the only thing you really need to roll through. But if you want to be a little safe, you can always roll through anytime he moves his right hand. So at about half health, he transitions into this little ragey run around mode state. And you know this because he sits like this, and he stands up, arcs up his back, and does like this little ha. So with this, you want to be definitely behind him as this happens. If you are too close to his club, it will hurt you as he slaps it down. But if you have been staying behind him, it won't be a problem. If you've been staying under him, it won't be a problem. Now, it is tempting to go all in and just bash him over and over at this point because you can do a lot of damage, but you have to be careful to not deal more than half of his health at this point. If he has less than half of his health, his next attack goes from this running around, which is what you want, to a more swingy, violent action set, and that's what you don't want. You trigger that, he gets a lot more annoying to kill. Keep him at above half his health. You can go a little bit lower. I'd rather not try to get that exact amount. However, if you do find that exact amount, you can make it so that you can reliably kill him with the stagger that you get later. Half his health is close enough, and if you are past that, just back off. And as you can see here, he was at half health, so I backed off, and this is a good time to cast Warcry, just to keep that timer up. You don't want to cast Warcry if you're near him, if he's at half his health, because that Warcry might cause him to stagger, and if you stagger him at this point, it also interrupts his running around and the good attack that you want, and instead puts him in this much more violent state that is harder to deal with. You really don't want to touch him once he's at this health and once he's setting this up. Now, if you're behind him, as you should be, he'll generally take a hop back, and then during that hop, he won't hurt you. So if you know that timing, you can cast Warcry and you're pretty much safe all the time. Now, if you're in front of him, he might immediately go into this little dash charge where he just runs at you as opposed to hopping back, and that's pretty annoying, and it can be hard to evade. So just stay behind him and that won't happen. If you are not behind him, just watch out for that and be ready for that dash that you have to avoid. But it is a good idea to cast Warcry here if you're not near him, because that damage boost will be very important. But if you are near him and you can't get any distance, prioritize distance first rather than casting Warcry. So here's his hop back. Now with these charges at you, what you want to do is you want to roll through him on the first two and then roll backwards with him on the third one so that you're closer to him. The reason you want to roll forward to the first two is so that you build distance so it's easier to dodge his next dash. Because if you're right next to him as he starts his dash, he can hit you before it looks like he can hit you. It's kind of weird. That distance helps with that. But on the third one, when you roll back, he's not going to charge at you. He's going to do this roar and this ice breath AoE effect. And the goal there is to stagger him when he's in that pose. The whole idea of him staying at half health and above is so that he goes into this next pose so that we can stun him in a way that with Warcry hopefully kills him if you've done everything right. So that was the third charge, so I rolled back with him, and immediately at this point, when the camera turns around and he is now behind you, you want to unlock your camera lock if you have camera lock on. And this is because you need to hit his side and you need to not hit center mass or his front. And the camera lock there, as he shifts around during this animation, will mess you up as you get into position for this. So at this point, once the camera is there, turn off camera lock and run to his left and hit him in the arm. Now you can hit him twice, but I recommend hitting him only once. It's a bit safer because the timing after you hit him to run to his head and hit him twice to stagger him is a little tight. So I recommend once and then just finishing him off after the stagger. You can do it twice, and you can hit him in the arm twice and kind of get through this faster It is riskier. So here we see that turn off the camera lock, run to his side, hit him in the arm, and then you run to his face. Now you don't have to get right up into his face. In fact, if you get too close, you'll take frostbite damage. So as long as his club is impacting near his face, you want to hit him twice. There you go, and that will basically stagger him every time. If you've been hitting him with a two-handed club this entire time, guaranteed consistent. And then you just R1 him in the face, which does a ton of damage, and depending on how close you were in that middle phase to the middle of his health, this could kill him. Or if you've gotten 2 hits on his arm, added another hit anywhere in that, although the timing is tight, but you can do it. Now, this part here, if you don't kill him though, you have to be a little careful, because if you just go at him swinging, he has iframes, and the timing of his quick attacks that he might pull as soon as he leaves those iframes is fast enough to be just timed where if you miss a swing with your club, you will not be able to roll or recover fast enough before his attack comes out, and he will kill you. You really need to take a second here to just wiggle around before you swing, because you really don't want to hit him during those iframes. Now, there's a chance that if you whiff, he pulls out a slow attack and it's fine and you can just keep swinging. But at this point, you have to be committed to swinging unless you know you're not going to get that hit, and then you back off and then you wait out some of his more aggressive attacks to get that last hit. Pretty much how this goes. So we're going to take a look at another fight. Do this fight back to back using the same consistent strategy here. And again, it's all pretty straightforward. You got to stay underneath him, more toward his back half than his front half. And you can tell this by, if you have camera lock on, the camera will be really annoying and try to fight you and try to get behind him. If the camera is doing that, then you are generally safe from his right to left swing. And again, you can just run straight toward him. Don't need a roll. Cast War Cry as soon as you can, and just stay under him. Now, it's okay if you roll sometimes, just for a little bit of extra safety. But the idea of not rolling is that you want to keep as much stamina as you can, so when you get those openings, you can hit them as many times as you can. Because War Cry will do a lot of damage there, and you just need to keep those hits going. So this is what you have to be careful for when you get to near half his health here. Here he's got a little bit less than half of his health, but it still works. The threshold's actually a little bit lower than that. But if you're not careful, what you can do is you can get him into this transition state, and you might be under him, but you might be not fully behind him, and you might be slightly to the right. His club, when it strikes down, has a pretty decent hitbox around it. So you want to be definitely behind him and more, again, toward his backside if you're under him, or toward his left. But he can turn very fast as he's doing his transition as well. So he can turn 90 degrees within a couple frames sometimes. So it's really unreliable if you're anywhere but behind him during this. So if you want more consistency, just try to keep an eye on that. Just try to always be behind him as he hits his state. And if you're behind him, it also will give you an opportunity to hit him again if you need to lower his health, if he's still got more than half his health. But at this point, with this amount of health gone, it's a good idea to run away and cast War Cry and get ready for the stagger. So running forward toward him and taking steps back after he rolls is a good way to make space so that when he dashes at you, you can roll through him and just make sure you don't get hit. But on this third charge here, we're going to roll backwards with him so that we're closer, so that we have more time to hit him in the side and hit him twice in the face. And because we got a little bit lower in that mid section of when he does that first transition, we get a lot closer to killing him with this stagger here. And you just gotta whack him. Now I whiffed that second hit, and I got lucky there. You really need to hit that second hit because he has another attack that he will go into that he did not go into this time that is quick enough to kill you if you're not there hitting him on that last hits. If you need more than 2 hits, you need to just deal more damage earlier. But generally, he should always take 2 hits or less if you've done everything right. And that's Vordt. Pretty solid, pretty easy boss. Has a very consistent way to deal with it. You just hit him with the club till he staggers. Now there are better weapons that do better things and can hit him with less hits, can kill him with less hits and all of that stuff. But if you're looking to do an SL1 run and you don't want to use a broadsword, you like the club, well, there you go. And just wanted to point out this one last thing there. In this third fight, he took a step back as you walk toward him. If he does that, just sprint toward him a little bit and get underneath of him. It's not a problem. However, he might come with the right to left swing very quickly after his hop back. So if you want to be safe, just do a roll there and then don't try to attack him. Just roll and then cast Warcry. Because generally if he does that swing, he can't cast that swing twice in a row. He can cast that swing after any of his other attacks. So if you're not directly underneath him, if you don't think you're safe with that swing after one of the first swings, just instead of trying to hit, just take that time to better position yourself so you don't get hit, just in case he does that right to left swing. Yeah, that's the only real other thing, is that as long as you stick to everything else, all the edge cases with Vordt will be covered. You just got to keep hitting him with the club.